Okay, great.
Hey guys, welcome back to We Met at Acme. I'm so excited to be here with my friend and now her very own podcast host, Kayla. Hi.
Hi, Lynn. Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy that you're here. We should give some history on us before we get into your favorite romantic gesture and all of that. Kayla and I have been working together for almost 4 years.
Pretty crazy.
Pretty crazy. It all happened with a cold email, right? Or was it a DM?
I slid into your DM.
Okay, so tell everyone what you said. It was so cute.
Yes. I had been following Lindsay for years, since I was probably 19 or 20. And I think I was 24 at the time. I had just broken up with my boyfriend at the time, or maybe I'd broken up with him maybe 6 months prior. I was working in tech at Salesforce, and I was just like, I want to try something new. And in my head, I'm thinking Lindsay doesn't have a manager and isn't as legitimate as she obviously is and was at the time even. But I'm like, maybe I could get into influencer management. I've been following Lindsay. She's amazing. Like, let me just reach out to her. So I sent you like a very formal DM. Hey, I'm Kayla. I sent you my LinkedIn and everything, what I was looking for. And then you were like, yeah, let's grab coffee.
Yeah. There was something different about your outreach. It was giving very professional and like, I know what I'm doing.
Thank you.
And I also am just someone who's open to meeting with people because I feel like you have to be. You know what I'm saying? And I met you and well, I feel like it was half because you were a Capricorn.
I was going to say, you were like, you're a Capricorn. I trust you.
And half because you were just so sweet and willing and wanted to. And what you were looking for was something like to inspire you to do on the side, which is really awesome. Like you weren't like, oh, I'm just gonna leave my job. I'm just gonna like totally rely on this. Like you were like, no, I like what I'm doing and I want to do something even cooler in addition, which is really cool, which actually leads to what you're doing with this podcast now, which is highlighting people who are hustling and, making their side hustles their main hustles and like you practice what you preach. So that's really cool. And then we talked and you were like, what's the deal with, I think that's when you found out I had a manager and an agent, whatever. But then we were like, let's talk about potential events.
Yeah, it was post-COVID. People were looking to get back out there. And you were like, this is such a great opportunity to start up events again. So I had a little test run with you at, I think it was Ludlow House was the first one we did together. And yeah, it was just a regular like singles mixer and it was really successful.
And it was really fun. And we've been working together ever since. And I have seen Kayla's growth. Like it's crazy. Just even the way that you write emails now is so like, whereas before I remember I once had to be like, oh no, like don't mention that, but now you don't even need me. And
I need you so, but no, thank you.
You don't. But throughout that, I've also gotten to know Kayla and she's so sweet. She's such a catch. And I've also been around through a relationship or two. No, just one.
Just one.
A relationship and like saw how she grew through it and what was working and then maybe not working for her and also been able to experience single Kayla, which is so fun. And learning a lot through you about how it is being single today versus how it was being single when I was your age. So much to talk about. Let's start with, first of all, how old are you? Where are you from? And what's your favorite romantic gesture?
Yes, I'm 28. I'm from Longmeadow, Massachusetts. And my favorite romantic gesture is so simple, but it truly means so much to me when a guy brings me flowers.
I love that. Would you say that in your past relationships, you had to make that clear or it was like a given?
So I had like a serious high school boyfriend who was my first everything. And then I graduated college and met my boyfriend at the time in the city. And he was just such a gift giver and just always knew what to do. He had great parents. I'm sure he learned from them. Like they were very in love and his dad, I'm sure, was such a gift giver to the mom, and he's definitely learned a lot of things from him. And he would always just get me flowers or just the best gifts in general. And I always just thought that was so caring and thoughtful. So I've always thought that was a great trait. My most recent ex, unfortunately, did not do that. And so that was something I definitely was like, I want flowers. Can you bring me flowers? And I do remember he took the hints at some point and brought me flowers which really was thoughtful at the time. But obviously since then, I'm saying he's an ex, and that's for a reason. As
Right.
you know that ex.
Totally,
So,
totally.
yes.
Let's talk about just being single and kind of navigating dating in the city right now. What is your kind of what are your tricks of the trade for meeting people right now and connecting with people? And are you on the dating apps? Where are you going out? Tell us the advice for the single girlies right now.
I have a lot to say on this because a few years ago, I will say, I was boy crazy, always going to the bars, on the weekends, trying to meet boys, very flirty. And that was like the energy my friends and I were just running on at the time. And I look back and I'm like, I can't believe I was so focused around just like meeting someone. But I think I've learned, and I look back on those days and I'm almost cringing at myself and a little embarrassed because I was like, I have to meet someone. I put so much pressure on dating when I was young, which is really interesting because it was never from my parents. Like, I feel like a lot of people feel pressure to meet someone because of their family or obviously just external factors and societal pressure. I think for me, it was just my own pressure I was putting on myself, really oddly enough. And now as a 28, almost 29-year-old, like I really am so calm when it comes to dating. And maybe that's a product of my last relationship and just things going on in the world, maybe just being a more mature woman. But I am so much more focused just on myself and what makes me happy and surrounding myself with the right people and just putting myself in situations that I'm actually enjoying. I think I've realized I'm not meeting my husband at Due West on a Saturday, and that is okay. So yeah, I think when it comes to meeting people in real life, I meet people through friends, birthday parties, Shabbat dinners. I've been very into my Shabbat dinners recently. Through work even. I think that's the way to do it, is just like putting yourself in situations that you genuinely feel your best self in and things will come versus forcing yourself to go out on a Friday night because you might have FOMO and think that you need to be out because we're in New York City and everyone's constantly doing something. I think it's just, protecting your peace and doing things that genuinely make you happy. And I think that just comes with age and being more confident in yourself as a person.
I think that's so true. And I also think, and just being your friend, I saw you make a change. Like, for example, your career. You went from being at a company you were at for a long time to going to like a more startup kind of vibe and surrounding yourself with all these new, like some of your coworkers are amazing and so fun and so young and like I feel like you've made so many great connections that way. And I do feel like the whole work social life thing is underrated in the city. I mean, of course, it depends where you work. And like you could work at a very stuffy environment where no one is your same age. But in your case, you found a place where you're able to make friends that way, in addition to the friends that you already had, and expand your social life even more, which is really cool, I think.
Totally. Yeah. And I think just when I felt like I needed a change, I was so eager and motivated to do something and made that change. Like when I knew it was time to leave Salesforce, like I started looking and actively was networking and then ended up at the amazing place that I'm at today and like made those changes and really saw the benefits from that versus just like waiting around. Like I think people can be super complacent and be afraid to take that leap. And for me, I know sometimes the grass isn't always greener, but like if you feel like you're in a rut, I think it's a sign to do something about it.
I agree. What do you think is different between when I was dating at 28 and now? And so that was, I don't even know how long ago. I'm 34 now, so you're definitely better at math than me 6 years ago versus dating now, just in terms of the caliber of men and the personalities and the, you know, uh, what's changed, if anything? Because this is like a post-COVID moment, right?
Yes.
What has changed with dating now? Why are the apps different if they are?
I do think COVID was a time where people were very much so on the apps. And now in this post-COVID era, people really do want to meet organically. And it's ironic because New York, there are so many people, but it's still so hard to meet people in real life. And I don't know why that is. After like traveling a lot this year and being abroad, I do think people are just not as friendly in New York or as like willing to go up to people in person. I actually did this experiment with Ruben, who you interviewed.
Yes, I was going to bring this up.
Yeah, and I think it's called Social Animal, if you guys want to check it out on YouTube. But he basically goes around different cities and will bring people with him and encourage them to go up to random people on the street. His whole mantra is you can meet anyone wherever you go. You just have to be like open to it. And I loved doing this experiment because I went around with him in New York City for a day and he filmed me just going up to strangers. And I ended up like going on a date from it because I approached a guy on the West Side Highway, made friends along the way. It was just such a great experiment. And it did show me and shows his subscribers that you can really meet anyone wherever you go. But I do feel like in New York, people are just so in their independent mindset and no one's as like willing to go up to people, which is sad. And I wish people did approach women more. Like I think back when you were dating, even like several years before that, I think men were more confident in approaching women at a bar. And nowadays, like even my brother, like first of all, my brother's single, 6'2", cute guy. Plugging Andrew right now, he's single.
He's adorable and a Libra.
He is a Libra. I don't like Libra men for myself, but
same.
Okay.
But I like your brother.
My brother's great. Yeah. He's a great guy. So great guy. Anyway, yeah, like boys are just scared to go up to girls at a bar. And I don't know why that is. And I do think women need to take a firmer stance and be somewhat alpha when it comes to like going up to guys at a bar and just be confident and know that guys want to talk to you, but like you might have to make the first move. And that's a big change, I think, in dating that I've at least experienced the last few years. I don't know if you feel that way or have seen that from when you were dating at 28, but
I didn't see that in person as much because I always, obviously in an ideal world, want the guy to make the first move. But I think that there are plenty of guys who just wouldn't believe that someone might be interested in them. Do you know what I'm saying? So in that case, I feel like going up to them is always a good idea.
I also think guys respect when a girl shoots their shot.
Totally.
And it's like comes off as attractive.
I think they respect it, but I think there's a fine line because I think that I know some guys who are like, well, she came up to me in person, I have to give her a date, when they wouldn't. They're not actually interested, you know? Like they want to give her the respect of doing it, but they're not as like actually, you know, attracted. But then there's the other kind of guy that's like, oh my God, I didn't know a girl that beautiful would be interested in me. 100% I'm going to take her out and like, you know, want to pursue her now. And I think that's what, you know, going back to dating rules in general, right? It's all about what happens after the first initiation.
True.
Because you can initiate all you want as a woman dating men, but then I would say like let them show interest from there. And
that's a big rule I've taken from you.
Well, I'm actually curious because someone asked, what are your personal rules?
Okay. My personal rules, I feel like have changed a lot. Like I definitely, as you know me, like I'm a Capricorn. I'm like, I will say anything to anyone, go up to anyone at a bar. I don't care. But I think when it comes to dating, I also want to channel my feminine energy. So I feel like as of recently, the changes that I've made in my dating life are like letting the guy make those first moves. Not necessarily at a bar. Like if I'm out like and there's a cute guy and he's not saying something, like I will go up to them. But after that, like it's in his hands. Like I'm not going to say, hey, want to grab a drink? Because in the past, like I've definitely come off as desperate, I'm sure. And at the end of the day, shoot your shot. I definitely encourage everyone to always shoot your shot because you never know. But I think if they wanted to, they would. And that I never believed until I think this year.
Yeah. Well, you're so charismatic. And by the way, shout out to Zoe who submitted this question. She was like, you're so charismatic. You have the best personality. What are your tips for going up to someone IRL? And I know we just talked about this social experiment, but you never actually said what you said to people when you went up to them. So what is it that you say?
Oh, that's a good question. What did I say to them? I think like it just depends. Like, hey guys, like, how's your night? If you're at a bar, or just like, oh, did you see that? Are you here for the DJ? I'm just thinking about places I've been recently.
Are you the DJ? Hi, can I request a song?
Yeah, or like, oh, like, are you in line for a drink? Like, I don't think it matters what you say. It's just being confident to say something and get the conversation going.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that for sure. What, if anything, have you learned from me when it comes to dating? I'm cringing for this question.
No, it's a good question. I think it goes back to you've always said if they wanted to, they would.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a very, very like important thing to know because guys are just simple. I think that's what I've learned. Like it's not so complicated when it comes to what guys are thinking. It's just like yes or no. And there's no middle ground. Like women were so not black and white and so confusing in a lot of ways, but men are just so simple and straight. And if you're questioning something, it's a no.
100% agree. Do you feel like having a brother, even though he's younger, gives you some insight into the male mind when it comes to dating?
Oh, absolutely. My brother and I could not be more opposite when it comes to like our personalities in a lot of ways. And then also just like being a guy, like guys don't communicate well. Most men. Okay. There are a lot of guys that do communicate well. But like as women, like I'm texting my family group chat all the time. I'm keeping up with all my friends. Maybe they know a little bit more details than they should on my life, but like women overshare.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us do. Men do not say anything. Like Andrew he keeps things so close to his chest and, isn't as much of a planner, for example. So I just think like understanding that from a guy's perspective, it's just like, okay, take it with a grain of salt, cool, calm, collected. It's all good. But at the end of the day, I think the right guy, if you want a planner, like the right guy will have to come up and show up for you and know how to plan something, right?
Agree. But also a caveat to that is I think what you're saying is really actually eye-opening to a lot of women listening because I think that so many women are so hardo about certain rules. Like, for example, my rule of not initiating dates, that is serious. I stand by that. However, once a date is initiated by him, you can decide where you're going. You can make the plans once it's been brought up that they want to go out again. And I think that so many women are like, no, he has to ask me out. He has to plan the date. Then he has to bring flowers. Then he has to walk me home. And it's like, it is kind of a dance and it's okay, using your brother as an example. You said he's not a planner. He's not a communicator. We turn men, when we date them, straight men, into planners and communicators.
Right.
We just have to show them the way.
I love that you're bringing this up because I was recently at dinner with a few guy friends who are 31, 32, and we were talking about like second and third dates. They both said, third date, we want to see some effort from a girl and maybe her planning the date because then like otherwise we're just chasing and we don't genuinely know if they're interested in us or not.
And I think planning the date is okay. I wouldn't say asking for the date is. So I would love in that situation for the guy to show a little interest and be like, so when are we going out again? Or like just something like what's your plan next week? And then that's an opportunity for the woman to say, I actually was looking at this pizza place that just got written up by infatuation. Should we go?
Exactly.
Because he already put out there, what's your plan for next week? That's obvious interest. So then taking that initiative as opposed to being like, hey, I'm just thinking that we should go out again. Like, are you free next? No, the girl doesn't have to say that. But coming up with something like, oh, yeah, I happen to have tickets to so-and-so. I think that that's hot and it's cool and it's confident, but it's not desperate.
Exactly. And I also think it's a good opportunity on a third date too to do something that you want to do as the woman. Like, let's see if this guy can hang. Let's see if he likes the same music you like. Maybe it's a concert. Like, I just think in dating, like you need to throw them a bone a little bit and also throw them something that you're actually interested in. Like I've brought guys probably a little bit too early to a Shabbat dinner, like throw you in the mix. Like, let's see how you do. And honestly, that gives you clarity early on. And then you can say, okay, yes, he was able to hang. I loved his energy with my friends. He got along with everyone. Like these are little tests along the way and gives you more clarity to thinking, okay, do I even want to go on a fourth or fifth date after this?
Right. Or he might be like, actually, I'm not ready for a Shabbat thing, but I'd love to take you to this restaurant that I was thinking about. And then it's in his head that you're interested and he'll, do the next plan. But the worst thing that could happen is that he says, no, like, don't want to do that, or no, not ready yet. Or like, he goes to you, but then you really have your answer right there.
Yeah.
In terms of something like ghosting or just having shitty situations over and over again when it comes to dating, how are we staying positive in these moments where we're getting into a funk about being single, because as much as you can be confident and mature, I'm sure that you have a moment where you're like, oh, this really sucks. I don't want to, be the fifth wheel with this couple or these couples, or I don't want to have to go away with this downer friend or whatever it is,
Yeah. No, this is a really, really good question, because I really genuinely think that in the past, like after my most recent ex and I broke up, for example, I was like, I hate men. Men suck. They all have bad personalities. Just because you're tall and hot doesn't mean anything. Like I was negative. But what I've learned from that is that's such a scarcity mindset. And I know that's such a catchy phrase, but it's a true phrase. And I think just practicing what you preach, what other people preach about having an abundant mindset is so important. And I've seen it firsthand myself. Like there are so many people in this city and just in the world. Like you never know who you're going to meet. And there are hidden gems out there. I have dated like amazing guys this year. Have they worked out for me personally? No. But first and foremost, what I've done recently is gone through my friends' hinges. And I'm like, which guys do I know that I can reset you up with that maybe I've gone out with?
Do
and
that.
This has gotten one of my friends from home like 2 dates in the last few weeks. So recycle your hinge matches and throw it back to some friends, because that is the best way people will meet. Like I love that. So a little bit of a caveat there. But I think when it comes to staying positive, obviously I get down the dumps about it. Like it's hard not to when it seems to be so exhausting and things aren't working out. But I think just reminding myself of the amazing people that I have met and knowing that my time will come, it just helps me stay positive. And again, I'm so focused on myself right now when it comes to like my job and this podcast that I'm personally trying to start, which I'll share more on later. But I think just, again, focusing my energy where I'm finding the most happiness, I think I realize that like it's going to work out for me, and you just have to trust the process, and you can't plan your life. Like I was so anxious in my early 20s trying to do everything right, and like it didn't really it got me somewhere with like my career and a lot of other things. When it comes to dating, like you just got to be yourself and be the best version of yourself, and really things will come, and you have to be confident in knowing that.
Yeah. And I really do think that there's something to be said about doing things that you really love, even if it's just, you're going to Miami for a few months to live there. That's because you want to be there, and you want to have a nice sunny winter as opposed to a freezing one. And whatever the reason is, right? And like, of course, you were lucky enough to have the flexibility of work and this and that, and everything has to align, but you're living based on what makes you happy right now, not what will attract somebody.
Yeah. And I think by doing what you want to be doing, like it ultimately will attract somebody, because you're just so confident in who you are as a person, and that energy is received, Like I think the desperate energy of meeting someone at a bar every weekend, like guys can sense that. And I'm sure I gave that off for the many years that I was going to the bars every weekend to try to meet people, right? Like I think that has been a huge shift in how I am as now a 28, 29-year-old single person in the city.
Definitely. And I see that shift as your friend. And someone had asked about dating when you're exhausted from it. Honestly, my advice is never close the door to dating just because you're exhausted from it. I don't really believe in breaks in any sense. Like I don't believe in breaks in relationships, and I don't believe in breaks in dating. I think you should always kind of stay open, but I'd love to hear if you have a different opinion as someone dating and single and who might feel exhausted every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely gone on dates where I haven't felt like amazing, and I do think I would disagree with you on this one, because I think you want to feel like your best self on a date, and I find that sometimes like if I'm not there fully, it's not going to be a good date. Like either way. I don't know. Every date that I've been on where I was like, oh, I'm feeling a little sick tonight, but I'm still going to push myself to go, or I'm just exhausted from my weekend and I just don't want to go, and I push myself, it never ends up working out for me. But that's just in my experience.
No, so I don't disagree that you shouldn't push yourself when you're not in a good headspace, because actually one of the rules is that you should only show up to a date, always show up to a date in a good mood.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that you shouldn't be like, I'm not dating right now. You know, like
yeah,
that
don't cut
kind of
yourself
break.
off. Yeah.
You know, I think if you're in that situation where you're exhausted from a weekend, I think you can be like, hey, I'm really excited to go out with you. Can we change it to this date? Because I'm not feeling hot right now. Like, I would love to curl up and watch Housewives and like eat pad thai or something. I actually would literally say that because then you can show them who you are a little,
It's funny.
show the personality. But I don't believe in being like, I'm abstaining from dating right now. Like, you know, I just feel like that closed off energy
Totally.
is not the vibe.
Yeah. And I think it's just like an excuse because you are negative about dating and don't want to be dating. Like I have had friends in the past who have been so negative about men and dating, and it's hard to be around someone like that.
Yeah.
And maybe you should look inward and realize why you're feeling so negatively. I mean, in my situation when I was in that mindset, it was, you know, I guess because of relationship trauma, but I have friends that just think that way in general, and like that energy again is received. Like you are putting out the right energy or the wrong energy, and people can sense it. So
It's so true. It's
I just
so
wish everyone
true.
was more positive about dating.
No, me too. And it's obviously easier said than done. But I remember right before I ran into Steven on New Year's, I kept saying to myself, and I know this sounds so cheesy and like weird, but I just kept saying to myself, I have so much to offer. I am bringing so much to the table, more than I've ever been bringing before. I am loving what I do. I have my own apartment that's clean and organized and, you know, whatever. And I have a lovely family. Like I just was listing in my head all the great things that I was bringing to the table. And I didn't feel like, you know, the person that I had dated before Steven was bringing the same things. But I remembered, I was like, I don't think it's too crazy to expect that someone has all the things that I have, you know? And that's where my mindset was. It wasn't like, I need to find this person. I was like, I am bringing it. Who else is?
Yeah, like
you
who
know?
else is like step up to the plate.
There's got to be someone else who's bringing it too.
That's what I love to say, and I think the same thing. I'm like, if I feel that I have all of these things to offer, then there is my match out there, and
Totally.
he is somewhere. I know he's out there. And yeah, that's like been my mindset recently. Like I just know that any situation I put myself in could be that situation. And it's scary, it's exciting, but I also think that like in the past I wasn't ready to settle down, you know? Like any day you can meet that person, like you need to be ready for it.
Totally. I'm so with you. And we want to hear about your podcast. Tell us about Friends of Kayla.
So I did just start a podcast of my own. It's called Friends of Kayla. It is about side hustle culture. So just highlighting different friends of mine who are doing really cool things. And obviously I've had this side hustle working with you for now 3+ years. So hopefully this will go somewhere. I'm excited to see where it goes and excited to just continue having conversations with really interesting friends of mine.
I'm so excited. And assuming this will come out somewhere between December and January, I'm sure there's a lot of great episodes for you to consume of Friends of Kayla. So definitely check it out and follow her on all the channels.
Thank you.
Have you considered making your personal Instagram public?
That scares me. I don't think so. What do you think? Do you think I should?
I do think that you should.
Why?
Because you are your brand in a lot of ways. And that's what's annoying, right? Like you become your brand whether you want to or not. I recently talked about in my episode on having an identity crisis, I never wanted to be on camera. I wanted to be just, you know,
Just a voice.
Just a voice.
Right.
But you don't have a choice now with podcasts.
Everything's video. Yeah.
Everything's video. It's like video is currency and it's so annoying. So I feel like think about it.
Okay. I'll think about it.
it.
Yeah, I have a question for you.
Yes.
What is your advice for someone like myself that you know my history of dating, right? What's your advice for someone 28, 29, going to be 29 in a few months when it comes to dating right now?
I think that you're doing all the right things. And I'm not just saying that. I would tell you if you weren't. And there are people who aren't. But I think you're doing all the right things. I think that your partner, whoever you find next, should be more of someone who takes care of you than someone that you're making sure they're happy all the time. Of course, you want your partner to be happy, but you are the prize. You are the gift. You are like something that they should be so lucky and so excited to have. And of course, you should feel so lucky and excited to have them. But at this point in your life, now you're 28 and you're going to, be 30 in 2 years, you are not dating potential.
Yeah.
Because you are at a place in your life where you are doing so much. You're doing so many things that fulfill you, so many things that make you happy. You have a wonderful family. You have a great head on your shoulders. Why we're never settling, like, ever. And I think that's what it is. And we're doing what we love. And like, that's what I would do if I were you. Continue hustling, continue doing what you love, continue building this new brand that you're building, making the connections, going to these Shabbats, going to meet people, not being afraid to talk to the DJ at a party, not being afraid to talk to this person, that person, like making these connections and not having a regret at the end of it, being like, I wish I'd talked to that person. I wish I actually doing it. And I think you're in the middle of your Saturn return. So much might change for you between now and the next 2 years. So just embrace all of it and not be afraid of it and lean into it. And maybe that means getting rid of certain friends. Maybe that means, having a random fling in Miami, like whatever is to come. Embrace it and don't think, I have to put this person as a husband. I have to see this person as serious or whatever it is. It's about how you feel right now because you're doing all the right things. If something feels good, pursue it. And if something doesn't feel good, walk away from it. And I feel like you're in a place where you have the confidence to do all of that and do it right. And I'm so excited to see who you end up with, like beyond. I'm almost jealous that you don't know because I feel that is the most exciting thing. And I feel so insanely lucky to have met Steven and have started our family. And I would never change that for the world. But I wish I could have told myself at 28 how excited I was for myself to meet him. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the one thing that single friends of mine have over everyone is that there is this question mark that is so exciting because you don't know where it's going to end up. You could marry like a Russian billionaire. You could, marry, I don't know, Joe Rogan. You never know where your life will go, and it's just so exciting, but it's hard to think of it like that right now. You only really think like that when you're on the other side of it, which is annoying.
I know. I think that's such a good thing to say though and end this with is like we need to reframe the conversation and be excited. Like let's stop thinking in this negative light of like it's so anxiety provoking that we don't know who we're going to end up with or there aren't good guys out there. Like there are good guys out there. There are so many great guys out here and it is exciting and we should be excited for the unknown because
who could it be?
We don't know.
Maybe they'll be blonde. Maybe they'll be redhead. Maybe they'll, who could it be? We'll dream them up and we'll see what it ends up being.
Yeah.
And really quickly plugging, Kayla and I do events around the city. We try to do them as often as possible, but truthfully, we've been taking a step back on the mixers because it's just hard to get great guys to come. And then some girls who will attend will be like, there were only, so and so amount of guys and we're not perfect. So we do have events and we're kind of in a brainstorm right now thinking of what great events can we do coming up. We know we're going to do a mixer in Miami this winter. Yay. So stay tuned. We actually have a call about that today.
Yeah.
But everything else, just, keep an eye, a watch on what we're doing. We'll definitely do something cool. Maybe we'll do some sort of like a dinner. Maybe we do something to promote your podcast, like a Friends of Kayla, of the guests that you've had, plus, whatever. I don't know. We'll think of something. Okay, real quick, we're going to do some rapid fire poll questions because duh. And then I'm going to force Kayla to do a cringy TikTok with me.
Oh, I can't wait.
Okay. In a long-term hetero relationship, should the guy actually pay for more or does it work out even?
I think it's got to be even at the end of the day. Lindsay's like, no.
Well, I think you should pay for dinners. I still think you should pay for dinners.
I agree with that. But I do think as over time, it evens out.
Yeah. No, it does. The guy you're hooking up with doesn't know how to unclip a bra. Red flag or no big deal or green flag?
Green flag. No. I think red flag, but it's not a big deal. Like, just help him out.
Yeah, I don't
Guide
think
his
I think it's
hand.
I think it's cute. Like I think it's
Innocent.
innocent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it could be a green flag if you're thinking in
Mhm.
that regard.
Or maybe he's only been with girls with the perfect boobs who don't need a bra, and then I'm just like mad, you know.
Right. In that case, red flag. Red flag.
Do you ever get the ick from sushi when you're eating it?
No, I love sushi.
Okay, it happened to me last night, and it was delivery sushi.
I guess it depends on where.
And I was just like, I don't even know what I'm eating because they don't label it when you get when you just order a sushi dinner, you know, and the pieces
Yeah.
come, and I was like, I have no idea what I'm eating, and I feel ill. Katy Perry or Pink?
Katy Perry.
I'm Team Pink
Really?
always. Yeah, she's my
No.
goddess. She's my queen.
Okay.
If you ever want to make me really happy, let's go to a Pink concert. I'd be so
Okay,
thrilled.
I'll
my
get a
God.
ticket.
And then I'll cross you over to the Pink side. Oh no, this doesn't apply. Okay. Your birthday was a few months ago, and you just found out through Instagram stalking that your boyfriend took you to the same restaurant that he took his ex to for her birthday. Should you say something? Yes or no?
Oh, I would say something.
Yeah.
Come on, like spice it up a little bit.
Right.
We
Like,
don't-
how
we don't-
lazy are you?
That's not fun. No,
Mhm.
not
But that
special.
goes back to guys being terrible planners.
Guys just don't know where to go.
He's like,
I'm
oh, where do I
probably
go?
So innocent.
There's this
but, like,
one place that I went to that was good. Do you feel like telling family or friends about early stages of dating jinxes it? Yes or no?
Oh, this is so hard. I think it can jinx it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like I jinxed things recently with someone, but at the end of the day, like he wasn't my guy, so it's okay. But yeah, I think keep it close to the chest.
I agree. Keep it low key. Keep it low key.
Low-key.
I always used to be like someone was like, do you like him? Like, do you think he's the one? And I'd be like, yeah, we're having a nice time getting to know him.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm just getting to know him.
Meanwhile, I'm like making, I'm
You're
like looking at
husband.
rings.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
If you're a female in a relationship and you're out with your girlfriends, do you let a guy buy you a drink at a bar?
Oof. I think I actually saw this poll question. I think if he's buying you guys both a drink, it's okay, but not just for the friend in the relationship.
Yeah, not just for you.
That's
For
tough.
you,
Yeah.
it's definitely sus.
Yeah.
You go out to brunch with friends and everyone splits and gets drinks. Everyone but one person is down to split evenly because she didn't drink. Is that annoying or understandable?
It's understandable.
So as this
But you-
person,
yeah, you-
I actually think it's annoying. I say we all split and then you guys cover the tip. It's much easier.
Okay, that is easier.
You know?
Well, one of my friends who doesn't drink, she'll typically put her car down
Mm-hmm.
for everyone and then just Venmo request people. And then she
my
like won't pay for
God.
it. Is that annoying?
No, it's not annoying.
Oh,
It's good
okay.
for her. She gets the
She
points.
gets the points too.
It's just like I don't want to look at a credit card bill that's that crazy, you know?
I get that too.
It gives me anxiety.
Yeah.
Your ex-boyfriend of 2 years who you are not in contact with messages you, happy 2 years to mark your breakup anniversary. Are we
What?
responding?
No, absolutely. What is wrong with people?
No, literally
That's
what?
insane.
Insane.
No, we don't
Psycho.
respond to that.
No, we don't.
On to the next.
On to
Yeah.
the next. This was so much fun. I loved hanging with you.
This was so fun. Thank you for having me,
fun. I can't
Liz.
wait to come on your podcast.
Yes.
Can you leave us with a quote or piece of advice?
Okay, I think the last piece of advice, or the one piece of advice I would leave, is just be yourself. And I think your 20s are hard. So lean into it. I've learned a lot this year. As Lindsay said, going through your Saturn return is real. I was never an astrology believer, but this year has proven that I'm trusting the stars a little bit more and leaning into the change, the hardship, and making something good come out of it. So take these life lessons, even if they're difficult, and turn it into a positive.
Love it. Where can everyone find you and follow you?
At Friends of Kayla is the podcast, and K Schriebes is my Instagram.
And maybe one day she'll be public.
Maybe I'll be public one day, but it scares me. Thank you, Liz.
Love you.
Love you.
So fun.